Hello, it's old Wooley. It's songwriting journey with old Wooley, and look, no guitar. I think it's probably time to think about things and summarize for myself what I've learned in the last 12 months. Um, and it could be uh, general things and specific things about songwriting or just about the process or about music in general. I think we'll first summarize where I was 12 months ago. 12 months ago was just before the first album release on the 9th of December, which was One Woolly Christmas. Still a slightly underproduced album, but Christmas was coming, so it had to be out, and it gave me a good deal of discipline of just getting it done, which is really quite good. And yeah, so 11 tracks there. Two or three of them probably will stand the test of time. Some of them would probably stand a re-record later on. Maybe, maybe not. But happy enough at the moment. And sometimes I'll listen to them, and I don't think many people do otherwise. But maybe they'll become Christmas favourites for a few people. Then I put together or planned an album subsequent to that, and really two albums was the initial plan, putting together the best of the rest, and continued songwriting through the process. Very prolific songwriting through December and January, and then I started rehearsing for the album and starting to rehearse for drum tracks and things like that. So that took a long time. I am still an incompetent drummer, but better than I was, and I need to practice more than for 3 months straight and then give up for a while, which is what I did last time. But we'll come back to that later. I'll probably do the same 3 months and see how I go. I think some intensive learning is useful there. What I often find now in the last 8 months, really, there's some time I wasn't doing very much songwriting at all. And I find that if I write every week, I often don't write many good songs. If I wait for a fortnight to come around, it's usually a pretty good song. And there are some days where you'll just write 4 or 5 songs because you're in the zone, and 1 or 2 of those will be quite good. That's kind of paradoxical, right? So that you think that space between time to write songs is better, but maybe it's really you got to wait till you're not just cranking the handle. I think once you've done your time, I think it's 90 or 100 songs now, that once you've done your time, then maybe the practice of it isn't as important as the thought or the inspiration. I think that's probably a bad message for songwriters, but for me that's what seems to be working. The other thing is much more playful with other chords other than dominants, majors and minors. Sixes, the kind of thing that's happened at the moment, just a little bit too many of them, and nine chords and things like that. I realised I love a 7 sus4. I just can't get enough of it. And using sus2s and sus4s instead of a minor or major tonality, kind of like a power chord, is another idea I've been playing with a lot, just because sometimes it fits in that space a little bit better, just from a technical music point of view. I'm still stuck with regards to rhythm of the guitar, or I've been much more active in experimenting with that in the past, but it's kind of gone back into my groove. And I had identified that melody writing is one of those weak points of mine. And so that was kind of inspired by Chad Shanks at Home Songwriting, and I've written the song Sorry I Wasted Your Time. as a response to that, but hopefully the first of many songs where I'm working at melody predominantly. That one's a bit of a cheat because it was two ideas thrown together. One was a chordal progression, and the melody came from that. But what I think I should do is keep it much simpler for my progression, maybe just 2 chords or 3 chords, and get the melody from that. We'll figure that out shortly. But let's skip the songwriting part now, because I do this because I love songwriting more than everything else, and I sort of hate playing on stage. It's probably a good answer, because I'm not rehearsing well enough to make it entirely predictable. I don't have enough time with these other distractions like recording and songwriting, and children, being a dad and having a job. So it's one of those things that, having started later and being quite ambitious, you kind of think, well, maybe I'm doing too much without enough practice, and I'm sure that's the case, because I keep on thinking of adding extra instruments to learn, and it's not getting the instruments I know rehearsed well enough. It's good for the idea of recording, but it's not good for the idea of performance. So I think my focus is a bit distracted from that. So I think at the moment I'll try and make it only fortnightly to write a song, although that might change. And after the next little, up until about Christmas, I'll probably play regularly every week. After that, I think I'll just get into recording the next album and exclude everything else until I'm ready to rehearse for it. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. Because I reckon I tried to get 2 out this year and I got 1 1/4, and that was okay. But I'd love to have something done by June, and then submit that to songwriting competitions and work up a set and get the buzz out there for Wooley, and maybe do 2 of the bluegrass festivals in a row over the course of 2 weekends, and whether or not I actually play at them, I want to go to them, and maybe they'll have me along. It's not really bluegrass, but you can bend the rules, and then just work the idea that there's something actually in it, something that's actually worthy. And I think there's glimpses of that from the second album from At Sea, but I think the song Open Skies, which will be the lead track of the next album, is good enough to kind of, as good as many songs in the genre, and people might like it enough. And a couple of other songs on that album will be not exactly classic country, old school country, won't be bluegrass necessarily. Some are kind of bluegrassy, and they won't be modern country, but there'll be something interesting, inspired, I think, in some of them, because a lot of the tracks for the upcoming album have pushed some of the older tracks out because they are better, and so that's where the work's got to be, is to work those songs up into professional pieces of music, and I want to do it quickly because there's still heaps of songs I want to get out there, and they're good, they're just, some of the songs are better, so we'll just keep doing that. You can't choose them all, but if I rush, get 6 albums out in 5 years, there won't be anyone who hasn't at least seen one Wooley song. Yeah, that's the plan, and whether they like it or not, there isn't really enough material that they'll have seen it. All right, so that's my plan, and yeah, hopefully you guys are for the journey. Let me know what you think has been interesting for you in this, whether you like the asides or whether you prefer the songwriting itself or whether you just prefer demos. Any further suggestions regarding music for me, or if you have a topic you'd like me to try to write a song for, yeah, it'd be nice to see whether or not someone can do that. And I'm going to try. I said I'd do it this year, and I've done it off camera, but more songwriting collabs. I'm putting them on screen and seeing where we get, because they're a bit longer, right? Doing it live with a person is a bit longer than I would do on my own. I cut away a bit more when there's a bit of nutting out the words or something like that. But in a collaboration, that might be really interesting. So I guess maybe it'd be better to do a single episode capture of that over the course of 30 or 40 minutes, which is long and maybe annoying and not what you want, but let me know if it is. And yeah, great. Otherwise, I'll let you know when there are gigs posted by Instagram. Subscribe to Old Wooley on Instagram, at Old Wooley, it should be exactly the same as YouTube, WOLDWOOLEY. There might be some capitals, but you should be able to find me by searching. Same thing on, make sure you are subscribed. And we'll keep on writing music and recording it and putting it out there until people go, oh, that's Old Wooley. All right. If you're doing your own songwriting projects, put a link in the comments too, and I'll have a look, and maybe we'll have a chat. All right, take care.